What's up, guys? This is Brad. Got another CGC reveal video for you today. Got 6 slabs. Let's go over projections, cover details. We're going to go over pop reports and sales. And let's jump right in. We're going to start with this from 1976. And this is sweetness right here, baby. We've got Walter Payton, legendary running back for the Chicago Bears. This is his first Sports Illustrated cover. The NFL's new star, Walter Payton of the Bears. It's a 4.5, but this is a newsstand, tough to come by. And yeah, like I said, Walter Payton's first cover. So that is pretty significant if you ask me. All right, now I projected this at a 5.0, so this one came in a little bit lower, but not a big deal. Difference between 4.5 and a 5.0, pretty negligible, pretty irrelevant. This is the first of 6 cover appearances for Walter Payton on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And this cover came in at number 44 on my all-time most collectible Sports Illustrated list. So it's a big-time cover. Walter Payton, obviously Hall of Famer. He won an MVP. He retired as the career leader in rush yards and rushing touchdowns. He's now second behind only Emmitt Smith in rushing yards, and I think he's behind several others in rushing touchdowns. He also retired as the leader in receptions by a non-wide receiver. Walter Payton sadly died in 1999 at age 46 from cancer. So this has been graded only 22 times as a newsstand. And my copy right here is a Pop 1 with 19 higher. This is definitely on the lower end, but I've said for now several years, I am a firm believer that because newsstands are so tough to find, even the low grades, even the low grade copies of key covers, which this definitely qualifies for, are going to have some collectability and value over time. And we've definitely already seen examples of that here in the past couple of years. So yeah, 4.5. Let's see, what was I saying? 22 total graded. The highest is that there are 2 9.0s out there. So recent sales, there was a 6.5 that sold on Heritage Auctions in May of this year for $312. A 6.0 sold in March on eBay for $168. And a 7.5 sold in June of 2023 for $1,500. So very collectible cover. First time I've owned this one. Happy to add this one to my collection. Walter Payton, first Sports Illustrated cover. All right, let's move on to number 2. And we're going to stray away from Sports Illustrated. This is a different sports publication here from 1998. And we have got NBA Inside Stuff. Oh, yeah, I really like this cover. You got Kevin Garnett, you got Jason Kidd, and of course, you got my guy, Kobe Bryant. Top 25 players under 25. Who's number 1? They're all pointing to themselves. And the funny thing is that Kobe was really young. He was way under 25 when this picture was taken. He would have been, I believe, still 19. All right, so details on this one. Let me see here. I went down too far. Okay, there we go. So I projected this at a 9.4. So I actually was a little disappointed to see it come in at a 9.2. I actually thought this had a decent shot at a 9.8. I'll have to double check the grader's notes, but yeah, I was surprised this one came in at a 9.2. This was before Kobe's first Sports Illustrated cover, which came later this year. This was January of 1998. 1 month after this cover came out, so yeah, I was right with what I said earlier, because 1 month after this cover came out, Kobe became the youngest All-Star in NBA history, and that record still stands. He was 19 years old, and he was actually a starter. He started for the Western All-Stars, and he didn't even start for his team. He was the 6th man for the Lakers that year. I believe that was his second season with the Lakers. He played pretty sparingly. I think he played like 15 minutes per game in his first season as a rookie. And then in the second season, he became LA's sixth man and started for the Western All-Stars alongside his teammate Shaquille O'Neal. So NBA Inside Stuff, definitely nostalgic for me. That was a very popular TV show hosted by NBC for many years, and it was hosted by Ahmad Rashad. He was the host of that show from 1990 to 2002. And that makes sense because the years that I was watching it a lot would have been between like 96 and probably 2002. So yeah, loved NBA Inside Stuff, loved Ahmad Rashad. And this is only the second copy graded to this issue. The other one is a 9.6. So no sales have occurred. But as a Kobe guy, I had to add this one to my personal collection for sure. And I'd say, all three of these guys went on to be Hall of Famers. But yeah, Kobe definitely turned out to be the best. All right. Number 3. I think we got 6 covers total. This is a significant key cover. This is from 2002, and this is Dirk Nowitzki, first Sports Illustrated cover for Dirk Nowitzki. I projected this at an 8.0, so glad to see it come back 8.5. 8.5 is my least favorite grade, but that's whenever I'm expecting a 9.0 or higher. If I projected an 8.0, happy with an 8.5. Now, I do own this already in a 9.6. I only got this graded just because I picked it up for really cheap, and it was just like I said, I think this is an underrated. I think this is a key cover. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki is 6th all time on the NBA scoring list. He is right behind Michael Jordan, and he's right ahead of Wilt Chamberlain. So that's pretty significant. And Dirk just doesn't get a lot of love when it comes to collecting. Kind of crazy. He won an MVP. He won a Finals MVP in 2011 when his Mavericks took down the Heat super team with LeBron and Wade and Bosh. He's also one of the very few players to appear on one of the very few athletes ever to appear on back-to-back Sports Illustrated covers in consecutive weeks. That was in 2011 when they were taking down the Heat. So I think this is an underrated one. Now I'll probably look to sell this one since I already own the 9.6. There have been 16 newsstand copies graded. This is a pop 3 with 12 higher, and there are 3 9.8s. My 9.6, I got it back as a 9.6, and I was really mad because I really wanted a 9.8, so I actually cracked it out as a 9.6 and sent it in again, and it came back a second time as a 9.6, so I give up. Yeah, a 9.6 sold in March of 2023 for $134, which I think is criminal. Once again, Dirk Nowitzki, severely underrated in my opinion. Nice first cover there. That Mavericks team was fun with Dirk and Steve Nash. Fun team. Michael Finley. All right, next up. This one, you might recognize the back of this cover. I had this same issue in my last unboxing video, but it was a different cover. And this one is Kevin Garnett. So one of my favorite covers. This was the 1 out of 6 regional variant cover from the 2008 NBA preview issue. The last unboxing video I showed had the LeBron cover of this. I already own the Kobe cover. I'm actually trying to accumulate all 6. I'm working on it. I'm getting pretty close. So this Kevin Garnett cover, I projected at a 6.0. I was very pleasantly surprised at the 7.5. Thought that was a little generous. Once again, the 6 players on the cover this week, you had Kobe, you had LeBron, you got Kevin Garnett, you had Kevin Durant, you had Elton Brand, you had Dwight Howard. KG was on 12 total Sports Illustrated covers. This was actually his last one with the Boston Celtics. And this is the first copy of this one graded, actually. These newsstands are tough. They're tough because, I mean, you got to think about it. If we've already talked about how, Sports Illustrated around this time probably had about 2 million subscribers, but only 3 to 4% of their print run was newsstands. Most of the copies they printed were subscription copies that were sent directly to subscribers and have the mailing label on the cover. Those are not quite as collectible as the newsstands like this that you would have bought at the newsstand rack. So, you think about that, you cut that down to how many newsstands were printed, and then think about how many of them were thrown away because not a lot of people just decide to keep these. And then once you get down to that number of how many might still be left, divide it by 6 because that's how many different covers there were this week from that regional variant. This is 1/6. There were 1/6 the amount of this cover printed as what would be done in a traditional week when there were only one cover. So I love this. Yeah, I love that color match. This is one of my favorite covers of all time. Not necessarily the KG, but just this week. I especially love the Kobe one. So yeah, there you go. First copy graded of that Kevin Garnett variant, and they did break it out like I asked. They put Kevin Garnett cover right here. So they are properly breaking out those 6 variants in the sentence. All right. We got 2 left. 2 left. This is ultra modern, as in just a few months ago. It's from March 2024. Novak Djokovic. Bummed with that 9.6. Definitely was hoping for a 9.8 on this one. 9.6. The difference between a 9.6 and a 9.8 in an ultra modern cover is major. I mean, similar to an ultra modern card being graded a PSA 9 versus a PSA 10. So this is Djokovic's first US cover. He was on one Sports Illustrated China cover, which I own a couple copies of, and I think that one is super collectible. That one's from like 2014, maybe, like 10 years older than this. But he finally got on his first US cover just a couple months ago, even though he's now the all-time leader in major championships won in men's tennis. He's won 24 and could still win a couple more. He's actually Wimbledon is happening as I record this video. So he's got 24. Rafael Nadal, who's my guy, he's got 22. Roger Federer, who kind of set the stage and was the maestro there for a while, he's got 20. So Novak's ahead of all those guys. And light years ahead of Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, and whoever else, Bjorn Borg, excuse me. I mean, I think all those guys have like, gosh, probably between like 7 and 14, maybe. Sampras might have got 14, something like that. But the big 3 that have been playing the last 20 years were just insane. And you wonder how many that they each would have won if they hadn't been playing at the same time. I do not like Novak Djokovic very much at all, mainly because of his attitude and some of his reactions on the court, but respect his game very much. He's probably the best tennis player I've ever seen watch. I love Rafael Nadal because of his admiration, his athleticism, his tenacity. It kind of reminds me a lot of Kobe Bryant as far as just the, never quit mentality. That was why I was always really drawn to Rafael Nadal. But Novak Djokovic, I mean, just when you watch him play a match, I mean, if you watch him play Nadal or you watch him play Federer, it's just like unreal how good this guy is. So this is a Pop 26 with 10 copies higher. So there's already 26 9.6s and 10 9.8s. The 9.6s have been selling on eBay for between $50 and $70. The 9.8s have been going for between $150 and $190. So there you go. Novak Djokovic, 9.6 first cover. I'll probably still hang on to this. Would have liked that 9.8, but that's okay. All right. I did save the best for last on this one, I think. I mean, that Walter Payton is pretty cool, even though it's only a 4.5. But this one's pretty nice. Pretty nice. 2013. This is the first Sports Illustrated cover for Clayton Kershaw. 9.4 baseball preview. I projected it at a 9.4, so got right on. I was a little bit hopeful I could get a 9.6 or a 9.8, but that's okay. I'll take the 9.4 because let's see, there've only been 4 graded. Well, excuse me. There were, yeah. So okay, so I got the labeling on this. First Clayton Kershaw cover, which that might have been on there already, but I'll tell you what wasn't. They had not broken this out. They finally broke this out as a variant. Clayton Kershaw cover. This is a baseball preview issue, and this was a 1 of 6 variant as well, just like that Kevin Garnett we saw earlier. There were 6 different covers this week. You had Clayton Kershaw, David Price, Steven Strasburg, CC Sabathia, James Shields, and Justin Verlander. This is a really cool cover, by the way. I love the concept of, throwing the pitch and breaking the glass. Really cool. It's also a color match for Clayton Kershaw with the Dodgers. And man, I didn't put Kershaw's stats in my notes. I should have, because he's possibly the best pitcher of this most recent generation. I think he's won at least 3 Cy Youngs. And after you had the Roger Clemens and Pedro Martinez and Randy Johnson and Greg Maddux, there were some really big time pitchers of that era. I feel like the next era, the next generation, I feel like Clayton Kershaw is hands down the best pitcher from that group. So this is awesome, awesome cover. Okay, so yeah, so since I said this is the first time they broke it out in the census, there were 4 copies graded before that, and we don't necessarily know if they're Kershaw or any of those other 5 covers. I do know I've seen at least 1 or 2 of the other covers graded, but of those 4, there was one 9.8. There was one 9. I think the 9.8 might have been CC Sabathia. I could almost swear that I saw that 9.8 CC Sabathia out there one time. There was a 9.6. There was one other 9.4, which I know was the Kershaw, and then there was an 8.5. So I know for sure that this is at least a pop 2. I know there's at least one other 9.4 Kershaw out there, and I'm not sure. There might be one 9.6 as well. I don't think that 9.8 is Kershaw's first cover. So this is pretty cool. The other 9.4 actually sold in October of 2023 for $350. So yeah, definitely a collectible cover. First SI cover for future Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw. Super sweet cover image. Love it. All right. So that is it, folks. Thank you for watching. If you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to this channel. I appreciate likes and comments. And until the next video, I'll see you guys next time.